Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about working in a job when you have chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, when I was first diagnosed with chronic fatigue, I was working as a lecturer. I'd been working as a learning support assistant with a bit of lecturing on the side and in an agricultural college. And I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome around about the time that I also got promoted to being a full-time lecturer. So it was not the best timing. And also, I was lecturing in the special needs department. So my students were all special needs, and quite a lot of them also had behavioural difficulties. So it wasn't that straightforward, and it wasn't really the kind of work that I'd ever wanted to get into. I love teaching, but there's a huge difference between teaching a subject you love and teaching special needs students life skills and maths and all that sort of thing. So, as you can imagine, it was really, really difficult to manage my chronic fatigue and have that job at the same time. I did somehow manage it for a couple of years, and then I decided to make a big leap and leave that job and become self-employed. And I've been self-employed ever since, and that's over 20 years ago. It's amazing. So I think I'm just saying that because I want you to know that I have been there. I know what it's like to have chronic fatigue and be working a job at the same time. And I know there are other people with chronic fatigue who wouldn't even be able to do a job. And you have to leave and are bedridden and all that. But at the moment, I'm just talking about those of us who can just about manage to function to a certain extent during the day. I think if you're in a job and you've been diagnosed with chronic fatigue, I think basically the first thing you have to consider is how much you want to keep your job. Can you continue? If you love your job, that's absolutely great. And you have to think about ways that you can manage it and still keep it. And I would suggest the first thing to do is talk to your doctor, talk to your GP, get a doctor's note or letter to take to the human resources, it would be in the UK. I don't know what you call it in America. But the people who deal with staff, and make sure that they know that you have a valid condition. That means you might occasionally have to have some time off. Now, I was very lucky. I had a very sympathetic human resources department where I worked, and they did tell me that if I needed to take the occasional time off, then that was fine. But funnily enough, I didn't, because it always, in education, then you're piling on a load of work to other people, and it always felt difficult to do that. But as far as you can, do make sure that the people you work for, your boss, your line manager, whoever it is, know what your condition is. And to manage, find out ways that you can take breaks if possible. Obviously that's going to differ from workplace to workplace, and what kind of job you have. And go to bed early. The only way I found I could function in that job was to go to bed every night extremely early. Around 8 o'clock, 8:30, something like that. So I'd come home, have dinner, watch about half an hour of television and go to bed. And that was how I could function. Now, if you're not enjoying your job, if it's stressful, and then that lack of enjoyment and that stress is not only not going to help your chronic fatigue syndrome, but it's probably going to contribute towards it as well. So you really need to think very strongly about what you could do instead of the job you're in. And when I decided to leave, I'd set up for a while as a career life coach. But after a couple of years of doing that, I decided that wasn't quite for me either. And I went back to one of my old loves, which was doing genealogy, tracing people's ancestry. And I've been doing that ever since. But also, I'm a writer, so I write as well. And so since I became self-employed all those years ago, I have also gradually found ways of managing chronic fatigue and also almost fully recovered. I still go up and down, but most days I function pretty normally, and which is marvellous. But I would certainly say that being self-employed and doing things I enjoy doing really does help. So that's what I would say. So basically, first of all, consider whether you want to stay in your job or whether you could find something else that you could do, that you could enjoy doing. I know that's really, really difficult, because if you really, really need to earn money, as I did at the time, it's not an easy decision, and you might have to spend some time thinking very hard about this. So, you know, I do understand that can be a difficult decision, but it could be one of the best decisions you've ever made to take that leap. And then find ways of, whether you're working in a job or whether you're self-employed, make sure you're doing pacing and finding ways to manage your work, and make sure that the people around you, the people you work with, the people you work for, understand fully about your condition, so that there's no difficult feelings that are going to happen. And of course, if you're self-employed, then you are much more flexible about the hours you work and the pacing and the rest times that you can have. So these are the things to consider if you work in a job, and do let me know if you have any questions about that. I know it's a really difficult subject for many of you, for many of us. So I would look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.